Hi everyone, welcome to the Celebrity Diaries. Joe, once an unmistakable figure on the R&B graphs, has had a wonderful excursion in the music business. At first, he found his balance as a musician making music for individual craftsmen. Anyway, his own endeavors as an entertainer pushed him higher than ever, bringing about 7 Grammy Grant designations and procuring him the title of Best Male R&B Craftsman at the 2001 Beaded Grants in spite of making business progress, with north of 5 million collections sold. In the US and chief aiding crowds with his tunes, praising adoration, and ladies Joe confronted an unexpected decrease in his vocation. This slump brings up issues about whether another R&B craftsman assumed a part in sabotaging his outcome. To disentangle this secret, it is fundamental to dig further into the situation that happened and examine the direction of Joe's profession. Joseph Louis Thomas was brought into the world on July 5, 1973, in Columbus, Georgia. Joe's initial years were saturated with the rhythms of gospel and the direction of his main goal, AR Guardians. He was one of 5 kin brought up in a family where lowliness and regard were temperances as well as a lifestyle. The transition to Alabama developed his foundations in the congregation, where he sang as well as employed the strings of a guitar and led the ensemble in a meeting with blogger Clayton Perry. Joe credited his childhood in the congregation for ingraining in him a feeling of lowliness and veneration, particularly towards elderly folks. After moving on from secondary school in 1990, Joe's enthusiasm for music copied more splendidly than at any other time. Notwithstanding the vulnerabilities of a performer's life, he sought after his fantasies with unflinching assurance, even as he shuffled unspecialized temp jobs to get by his pulse to the cadence of his desires. At the youthful age of 18, he pursued the strong choice to wander into the tri-state region, a move that flagged the start of his odyssey towards fame. Strikingly, his folks' firm mainstays of help remained close by recognizing his deferential disposition. Even with his takeoff, the change drove him to get comfortable. New Jersey, Joe drenched himself in the melodic embroidery of the clamoring city, sharpening his art while working at a gospel record store in spite of the hardships. Joe's determination stayed unshaken, his fantasies overshadowing the difficulties that took steps to wreck his excursion for Joe. The excursion to melodic fame initiated with a fortunate gathering with maker Vincent Herbert. Together, they left on a melodic undertaking, making a 3-minute demo that displayed Joe's songwriting ability as well as uncovered his vocal ability. Regardless of Joe's underlying tendency towards songwriting, destiny had different plans, driving him into the spotlight as an artist following the production of the demo. Joe quickly got a distributing bargain, catapulting him into the echelons of the music business. His expressive virtuoso grabbed the eye of famous craftsmen, for example, Mary J. Blige, Break, Tina Turner, Barry White's endearing face, and SWV, for whom he wrote soul-mixing songs. Regardless of his unassuming starting points, Joe's natural ability and devotion to his art before long received monetary benefits. Considering his initial achievement, he thinks back about the excitement of getting a significant check of $45,000 for his debut creation, a sum that appeared to be cosmic to the growing performer. In no less than a time of gripping his distributing bargain, Joe wound up immersed with offers from record organizations purchasing to outfit his melodic ability. In 1992, he inked a fantastic arrangement with Polygram Records, denoting a huge achievement in his expanding profession in spite of recognizing the presence of additional vocally gifted specialists. Joe remains keenly conscious of the happy open doors that have come his way, thankful for the opportunity to impart his abilities to the world. He modestly ascribes his prosperity to a blend of difficult work constancy and a hint of karma blasting onto the scene in 1993 with his presentation collection. All that Joe quickly caught the hearts of crowds overall. The collection, decorated with outline-beating singles like I'm Enamored, filled in as a takeoff platform for Joe's fleeting ascent to fame, anxious to investigate new skylines. Joe bid goodbye to Polygram Records and set out on another part with Jive RCA for his sophomore exertion. All That I Am in 1997, this collection ended up being an amazing accomplishment with hits like Everything Your Man Will Not Do and Doesn't Have Any Desire to Be a Player, moving it to platinum status and selling north of 1 million duplicates. Anyway, Joe's abilities stretched out a long way past his performance in the middle between making his own melodic showstoppers. Joe loaned his mastery to different tasks, delivering and composing collections for individual specialists, including the regarded Bunch Ideal. His complex commitments to the music business earned broad approval, finishing in a crucial second in 1999 when he loaned his profound vocals to Maria's Vehicles Diagram. Thanks to God, I Found You. The tune took off to the culmination of the bulletin outlines, denoting Joe's most memorable #1 single and hardening his status as an amazing powerhouse, not happy with his extraordinary accomplishments. Joe kept on pushing the limits of his masterfulness with the arrival of his third collection. I Go by Joe in 2000, created as a team with regarded gifts like Kevin Shakespeare Briggs, Teddy Riley, Tim, and Bounce. The collection collected rave surveys from pundits and climbed to the more elite classes of the board graphs supported by singles. For example, I Need to Know Deal with Her Like a Woman and Falter I Go by Joe turned into a quintessential staple in the R&B type, procuring triple platinum confirmation from the Recording Business Relationship of America and honors from music specialists overall. The zenith of Joe's vocation showed up in 2001, when both I Go by Joe and I Need to Know got Grammy Grant assignments, establishing his status as a light in the domain of R&B music with each progressive delivery. Joe's creativity keeps on dazzling crowds following the outcome of I Am Joe. The craftsman wandered forward with his fourth collection, Better Days, in the ensuing year while not arriving at similar levels as its ancestor, Better Days, leaving its imprint looking at number 32 on the Announcement 200 and accomplishing gold status in the U.S. In spite of its business execution, the collection gathered the basic case, procuring Joe his second Grammy designation for Best R&B Collection, followed by a gesture for Best Male R&B Vocal Execution for the deep track. We should remain at home this evening, undaunted by the EB stream of progress. Joe kept on investigating new melodic domains with ensuing deliveries in 2001 and 2003. He divulged more promising times, and afterward, separately. These collections missed the mark concerning repeating the great progress of I Go by Joe. Regardless of his accomplishments in music, Joe felt a sense of urgency to enhance his portfolio. Taking a rest from the stage to dig into adventures past the domain of music, during this time of contemplation, Joe inundated himself in land adventures and wandered into the universe of design with his top-of-the-line clothing line. J. Thomas also set out on an introduction to the spirits business with his own kind of tequila anyway, regardless of his endeavors beyond music. Joe's energy for his art stayed faithful. In 2007, Joe reappeared on the music scene with the arrival of Ain't Nothing Similar to Me, reaffirming his ability as a flexible craftsman. The collection got a case from pundits and took off to the more elite classes of the outlines, appearing at number 2 on the US Board 200 and beating the top R&B hip-hop collections graph. In spite of confronting rivalry from arising gifts like Neo, Joe stayed unfaltering in his obligation to his creativity, declaring his presence in the business with each progressive delivery in 2008. Joe went with the intense choice to head out in different directions from Jive Records, leaving on another part in his vocation anyway. This change was not without debate as Joe exacted serious charges against his previous namemate, Robert Kelly. By and by, Joe's purpose stayed unshaken as he kept on charming crowds with his particular sound and evident ability. Joe, a carefully prepared craftsman in the space of RamDB, ended up entrapped in a harsh fight with individual artists. Robert, in a genuine meeting with the Electronic Metropolitan Report, Joe uncovered an upsetting truth. Robert purportedly employed his impact to disrupt Joe's vocation, pressuring radio broadcasts to stop circulating his music in danger of keeping his own exhibitions. The repercussions were quick and extreme as Joe's music bit by bit disappeared from the wireless transmissions, leaving him wrestling with the aftermath of Robert's implied feud in spite of the wild situation. Joe kept a similarity to elegance, ascribing the dissension to envy while proclaiming his perseverance through deference for Robert's melodic ability anyway. The trial filled in as an impetus for Joe's takeoff from Jive Records, provoking him to look for shelter under the pennant of Keter Diversion. Embracing freshly discovered freedom, Joe set out on a progression of solo undertakings in 2008. Thanks for watching this video.